So in today's video, I'm going to be joined by some of your favourite Bradford City content creators, and we are going to be doing a draft style video building our best Bradford City 11s from the last 10 years, from the 2012-13 season up until the current 2022-23 campaign. Make sure to check out everybody who features in today's video. Their links are all down in the description down below. If you do go on to enjoy, please make sure to drop a like on there for me. I'm not going to set a like target on today's video, but the more likes would mean that I'm more likely to do more styles of these videos. Subscribe if you're new as well. We are really close now to 7,000 subscribers, so please make sure you are subscribed if you haven't already, with that post notification bell on. It's free to do so and it does massively help out. Drop a comment in as well down in the comment section down below. Let me know what would your best Bradford City 11 be from the last 10 years. Obviously, if a player gets selected, then nobody else can then select that player. We're going to be going in order and all that sort of stuff. If you don't understand how a draft works, you might just want to have a quick Google of how it actually works so you understand the video a little bit more. If you have missed any players, correct us down in the comment section down below and let me know once the teams have built, which team do you think is the best. Make sure to drop a like on there for me, subscribe if you are new as well, and enjoy. So I'm now joined by Arran, Frank and Korban, and we're going to be starting out by individually picking our formations, and we'll go through in a completely random order. So personally, I'm going to go with a 4-4-2 formation. Arran, what formation are you going?
I'm going for a 4-3-3 formation.
Frank, what about you?
Just a flat 4-4-2.
And Korban?
Flat 4-4-2.
Right, so now that all of the formations have been decided, we're going to go in that order for picking as well. So we're going to go me, then Arran, then Frank, and then Korban. So I'll obviously be starting out. Now, it's obviously very hard to pick someone specifically straight off the bat, but I think the best player as a complete player that I ever saw play for Bradford City was Josh Cullen. He has to be in there. I think individually in battles in midfield, he won them pretty much every time. The year and a half that he was with the football club, he was absolutely brilliant. So for me personally, he's got a slot straight into my centre of midfield. So it is now Aaron's turn to pick. Arran, who is going to be your first selection?
I have gone for Andy Cook because he has scored 31 goals in all competitions this season. He came from Mansfield in 2021, and ever since he's joined, he's been a brilliant player. One of the best players from the past 10 years, I reckon, for Bradford City. So I've gone with Andy Cook.
So with Aaron's only striker slot being selected, it does obviously leave quite a few options open as of right now. Frank, who is going to be your first selection?
Well, obviously, with it not being in positional order, it's very difficult to pick. But for me, one of the best players I've ever seen at Bradford City, it has to be Nahki Wells for me. Every season he played for Bradford City, he reached double figures. He was destined to be a Championship Premier League striker ever since he came to Bradford City. You've got to give credit to the scouting team. We've pulled him out of Bermuda from Carlisle United. He only played 3 times for Carlisle, failed to score. So when you bring him to a club like Bradford and he, does the numbers that he's done, it's a unbelievable achievement for not only for the club but for Nahki as well. He's gone on to do great things, and hopefully we can see him in a City shirt. Hopefully in the near future. Last
but not least is Korban. Now, because he is the end pick, he does actually get 2 picks on this occasion. So Korban, which 2 players are you going to be selecting on this occasion?
Stephen Darby and Gary Jones. I believe they're both captains, and everything that Darby is on and off the pitch. A leader on it, and also a pretty decent footballer for us as well. Solid player. And then Gary Jones, everything you want from a defensive midfielder. Again, another leader on and off the pitch. So they're my 2 picks.
So going back in reverse order, next up once again is Frank. Who is going to be your second pick?
I think one of the positions that were lacking at Bradford City over the last 10 years has been the full-back position. And with Stephen Darby being taken, I want to try and get that full-back position sorted early. And that's why, for my second pick, I'm going to go with James Meredith, the Australian international. Played 220 games for Bradford City. He was at the club for many, many years. 220 games is a fantastic, fantastic achievement, because you don't really see that for Bradford City very often now, because players usually go after a season or 2. Played for the Australian national team, went off to Millwall, which was probably, a fair transfer because he was destined to play higher up than Bradford. 220 games, like I've said. Goals, assists galore, absolute battler, and that's why I picked him as my second pick.
Pretty solid pick there. There wasn't really many left backs, so to get that left back in nice and early from Frank is a pretty decent selection. Next up, once again, is Arran. Already picked Andy Cook, who is going to be your second pick.
My second pick is going to be a goalkeeper, actually. The past 5 years, Bradford haven't really had a good goalkeeper who has caught everyone's eye. I think he's Championship level. He's played 45 games this season, kept 18 clean sheets. he's one of the best goalkeepers I've seen at Bradford City in a long time, so I'm going with Harry Lewis.
So back onto me then for my second and third picks. Firstly, I'm going to go with Andrew Davies. I thought he was Mr. Bradford City. Did have his injury problems, but whenever he was fit, he was absolutely outstanding. A real rock at the back. And for me personally, an absolutely brilliant centre-half. One of the best I've seen play for Bradford City. So I want him in the centre of defence. I'm also going to pick a winger. On the right wing, I'm going to go with Mark Marshall. Again, one of the best wingers I've seen at Bradford City. Could score goals, assist, really pacey, tricky, could go left or right. Could probably even do a job on the left wing, but did predominantly play on that right wing. Cutting on the left foot, he scored so many wonder goals. Absolutely brilliant player, and in my opinion, has to be in my team. So my two picks are Andrew Davies and Mark Marshall. Arran is up next once again. He's already got a little bit of his spine starting to build in his team with Harry Lewis and Andy Cook. Arran, who is going to be your third pick?
My third pick is going to be a left winger, and it's going to be Charles Vernon. I thought he was very inconsistent when he was at Bradford City, but when he did perform, he was very good. He performed in a very bad team as well. He did deserve his move in the end to Lincoln City, but it's not really quite worked out for him. But yeah, my left winger is going to be Charles Vernon.
Pretty solid pick there from Arran. Next up is Frank. Already got a left back and a striker in there. Frank, who is going to be your third pick?
It's going to be another fullback. Like I've said, we don't really have many options for fullbacks. We've been quite lacking in that position, but with Derby already been taken for my right back, I'm going to select Tony McMahon, a set piece specialist and a very solid defender for Bradford City. He's got 11 goals for Bradford City in just over 100 appearances for the club, which is fantastic for a fullback. Should have squared it, of course, but a great player and a great character as well. You don't really see many good characters for Bradford City apart from your Harry Lewis's and your Andy Cook, so he's my right back.
I think getting the fullbacks in nice and early is a good move there from Frank. Back up with Korban, then he's got two more picks on this occasion. Who's going to be your third and fourth picks?
Roy McArdle scored some massive goals for us at vital times, and also terrific centre-back, great partner to many players over the few seasons. And then in terms of my left winger, I'm going to go with Kyle Reid, a fantastic winger, great trickery.
Must admit, Korban's team is looking very nice as of right now. Fourth pick up next for Frank. Already got both his fullbacks sorted and a striker. Who is going to be your fourth pick?
Yeah, again, another defender. It's that man, Paulie O'Connor, now a Lincoln player, unfortunately. I think we did really well to keep him as long as we did. 100 appearances plus for Bradford City. A complete bright spark in that relegation side, and a really, really poor side at that as well. An absolute battler. We've not really seen the likes of Paulie since we've had, McArdle and Davies, who've already been selected. I just think he's an overall great player. Fully earned his move to Lincoln. And he's doing really well for Lincoln, so congratulations to him. And he's my fourth pick.
Frank's defence is coming along very nicely. Just the one defensive spot left for him. Arran's up next. Arran, who is going to be your fourth pick?
My fourth pick is going to be a right back, and it's going to be Brad Halliday. I wanted to get this position out of the way because I know in the later stages of today's video it's going to be quite hard to fill out. He came on a free transfer from Fleetwood, and I think ever since he's joined, he's been really quality. I mean, the past few games, so the semi-final of the Carlisle game, actually, he performed very, very bad. But other than that, I think he's had very good performances this season, assisted Andy Cook a lot of times this season as well. Defensively is really solid, and yeah, that's my right back.
So I am now up next then, two picks for me. Firstly, I am going to go with a centre-back to partner Andrew Davies. I'm going to go with Reece Burke. I thought when he was fit, he was absolutely brilliant, comfortable on both feet. Obviously, he's done brilliant things with Luton Town, now being promoted to the Premier League. That loan spell, I think he won Young Player of the Year when he was with us on loan from West Ham, I believe. He was absolutely outstanding, so he has to go in my team. And I'm also going to pick my first striker. I'm going to go with Charlie White. He was actually my first pick, apart from Naki Wells. Thought he was absolutely brilliant in there. Was it 18 months that he was with the football club? Obviously, in the end, was a bit, I don't really know how to describe it. The way he went about getting his move to Sunderland seemed a little bit strange to me, but when he was fit and available, he scored goals for fun in what was pretty much a struggling team, especially in that 17-18 season. I thought he did a really good job, scored a brilliant amount of goals. If it had been there a bit longer, we could have seen him potentially be a bit more of a club legend, but only because he was with us for 18 months, I don't think you can quite give him that status. But when he was available and with the football club, he scored goals and he was a brilliant asset to have. Approaching the halfway mark now, up next is Arran once again. His team's coming along nicely. Who is going to be your fifth pick?
I'm going to finish off my front three with my right winger, and I'm going to go for Scott Banks. Ever since he came in on loan from Crystal Palace, he's been wonderful to watch. Every game he's played, I reckon I've enjoyed watching it. It was a bit like a Dion Pereira when last season Dion Pereira caught a few people's eyes. This season, for Scott Banks. He played very well. He scored a wonderful free kick against Wimbledon as well. It's a shame that we didn't get to keep him towards Crystal Palace, but yeah, that's my right winner.
Arran's team is certainly looking very modern. Frank is up next now. Nearly completed his defence. He's got a striking option in there as well. Frank, who is going to be your 5th pick?
I think I've picked a lot of defenders. You picked Reece Burke, who is actually going to be my other centre-back, but I think I can take the foot off the gas now and finally start picking my attack. And for the right wing, I'm going to go with Felipe Marias. Scored so many famous goals for Bradford City. The one against Chelsea is probably the most notable one. Didn't have a great goals-to-game ratio, but a fantastic winner. He really got you off your seat. He even had his own skill move. He was a fantastically skillful player. And I think he was a really club legend at Bradford City. And you see him on the radio now, he just gets the club. He is fantastic on the radio. And he's got some really refreshing comments to say about the club. And yeah, I definitely think he's going to be a great manager should he decide to venture into that. And he's my 5th pick.
Pretty solid pick there from Frank. Korban now has 2 picks. He's already got 4 players in there. So Korban, who are going to be your 5th and 6th picks?
Hansen and Vincelot. Hansen, he got quite a bit of criticism towards the back end of his career at Bradford City, but you know, I think he's got to go down as a club legend. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think his 3rd highest goal scorer. He's quite high up in the goal scoring charts. Obviously at the co-op before City, and he was a hard working striker, great work rate, and he got a few big goals for us as well. And then Vincelot in centre back to part and McArdle. I think when he played in centre back, he was to replace McArdle when he was injured. But you know, really good player, versatile, give his all when he played. 2
pretty solid picks there from Korban. Just to confirm, he's decided to put Vincelot in centre half. Obviously, he could play midfield as well, but he's partnered him with Rory McArdle. Next up then is Frank. Frank, who is going to be your 6th pick?
One of the best loanees, apart from Cullen, that I've ever seen at Bradford City, and it has to be Lewis O'Brien for me. On loan from Huddersfield, he hadn't played a single minute of senior football before his loan to Bradford City, and he absolutely set the league on fire. Despite us finishing 24th in the league, he was one of the best midfielders in the league for me. 4 goals, 3 assists in 40 appearances in his first season of senior football is absolutely fantastic. Him and Payne from Huddersfield were absolutely unbelievable. Fantastic. He had a fantastic long shot on him as well. A great player. He's gone on to play in the Premier League with Nottingham Forest. It hasn't quite worked out there. He has been sent to the MLS since, but he's a fantastic player, and I wouldn't be surprised if he ended up playing in the Premier League for a different club one day.
Interesting that Frank has picked a couple of players from the team that were actually part of why we got relegated in the end. Next up is Arran, though, for his 6th pick. Pretty modern team so far. Arran, who is going to be pick number 6?
My pick number 6 is going to be a central midfielder, and it's going to be Billy Knott. He signed from Sunderland in 2014 and was known for the amazing goal against Leeds. Soon after that, he played 80 minutes of the famous FA Cup 4-2 win against Chelsea. So yeah, that is going to be my midfield choice.
Good to see Arran finally picking some players who weren't playing for Bradford City in the last 2 years. I've got 2 picks now, picks number 7 and 8, I believe. I'm going to sort out my left-hand side completely. At left back, I'm going to go with Stephen Warnock. There isn't really many choices to go there, but obviously signed on loan, I think, from Burton. Was only with us for half a season, but apart from Meredith, we've had so many bad left backs over the last couple of years. I didn't want to end up with Adam Dickson or some players like that. So I've gone with Stephen Warnock at left back for that reason. I'm partnering him also on that left-hand side in the left midfield role. I have gone with Adam Reach. Was on loan from, genuinely can't remember, to be honest with you, but when he came in as a left midfielder in that season, I think he was with us in 13-14, was a shining light really in that season, in that pretty much a whole amber kit. He scored a brilliant free kick, I remember, and out of all the left midfield options, again, we've had some inconsistent ones over the last couple of years. I remember Adam Reach being a very, very special player for us, and in my opinion, deserves a spot in my team on the left of midfield. My team is now very close to a completion. Arran is up next then, looking a bit like on that defensive role. Arran, who is going to be your next pick?
I know it's very recent, this team so far, but I'm going to go for a centre-back, and my centre-back is going to be Ramon Critchlow. He came on loan from Huddersfield Town, and ever since he started playing, I thought he's a quality player. He plays out from the back, he's good on the ball, he's good in the air as well. He scored a winner against Northampton, which got our hopes up for automatic promotion, but it didn't lead to that. So yeah, that's my centre-back.
Arran reverting to type then with another very modern pick. Frank is up next then. Frank, who is going to be your 7th pick?
With Naki Wells and Andy Cook, James Hansen, Charlie Wyke all selected. There are very limited strikers who have been prolific as them four, but I am going to select a striker, Billy Clark. He played 141 games the Bantams, scoring on 27 occasions, which isn't a fantastic conversion rate. but was a very good striker at Bradford City. He had a good play style about him. Him and Hanson were a decent partnership when he tried to fill in that gap for the Naki Wells departure. Just 3 spells for the Bantams. Unfortunately, the last 2 didn't work out as much as the first, but a fantastic striker overall. Not as good as the other 4, but what can you do when they're already selected? So that's my pick, Billy Clark.
I reckon the remaining picks for everybody else now are going to be players who are not quite up to standard of the current players that we've already got down. There is only so many good players we've had play for us over the last 10 years. Korban is up next then. Korban, who are going to be your next 2 picks?
John Stead partner James Johnson. It's not the most speedy strike partnership, but I think they might have played a couple of times together. Stead obviously scoring in all the rounds of the FA Cup in 14-15, and he was okay for us, but mainly in the FA Cup, didn't quite go in the league. And Lee Evans in midfield. I really struggle with midfield, but I was going to go with Dieng, but Dieng and Jones in the most attack-minded midfield, and I don't think they're going to produce anything going forward. So I think Lee Evans scored a couple of good goals in I think it was 15-16 season, and he's gone on from City and had a couple of good spells. So they're my 2 picks.
To be fair, he could have picked a lot worse. I think Korban's done pretty well with that one. Frank up next once again. Frank, who is going to be your next pick?
Yeah, like Sam has said, it's getting to a point now where a lot of the players have been selected for positions that you need. And especially in a position like left mid, when people have already been picking there, it's going to be difficult to pick one out. But I have searched through the archives and I picked out a player that I remember very vividly. And it's Mark Yates, the Irishman, arrived at Bradford City. He's played 70 times for the Bantams, scoring on 5 occasions, scored that famous 4th goal against Chelsea when we beat them 4-2 in the FA Cup. It was a great finish as well. So yeah, great player for Bradford City. Like I said, the left midfielders, we were, very packed there, like the centre mid and the centre backs. It's a position which we haven't really seen many good players come out from, but Mark Yates is my option.
I know there wasn't really many options at left midfield, but I certainly think he could have picked someone better than someone who scored 5 goals for the football club. Anyway, next up is Arran once again. Arran, who is going to be your next choice?
So the position I'm picking is left back, and I didn't want to go for Liam Rydell because it would just be too recent. I don't rate him myself as well. I'm going to go for Andrew Halliday. I know he didn't play for left back for Bradford City, but later on in his career with Rangers, he did play left back, and I really don't want to go for Matty Folds or Liam Rydell, so I'm just going to go for Andrew Halliday for my left back.
So everybody else is now 8 picks down. I'm going to be picking my 8th and 9th player. I'm going to go firstly with a goalkeeper. I'm going to go with Jordan Pickford. Obviously, I would have gone with Harry Lewis. He was my first choice. And we did have some good goalkeeper options. John McLaughlin, Ben Williams, Matt Duke as well was pretty decent in our cup run. But I'm going with Jordan Pickford. He was very solid, and obviously he's had a great career outside of Bradford City, done wonders for England and all that sort of stuff. So he's going in between the sticks for me. Then to partner Josh Cullen in the centre of midfield, I would have loved a Gary Jones, a Lee Evans, even a Lewis O'Brien, but wasn't really too many options. I am in the end though going to go with Tim Dieng. It was between him and Callum Guy for me of the players who are left, but I'm going to go with Dieng. He had a bit more longevity, was better going forward as well, could score goals, always would love to put a tackle in, not scared to get a yellow card, and in my opinion was a really underrated central midfielder. Had a good spell at Gillingham as well, did well with Exeter as well in League 2 and League 1. I think he's a very steady central midfield option at this level, and I think him and Cullen could certainly partner each other very well in my side. I must say, as of right now, I'm very happy with the way that my team is coming along. Only 2 more picks left for me. Arran, who is going to be your 9th pick?
My 9th pick is going to be a centre-back, and it's very recent again. He came in from Exeter City. Ever since he's come in, he's been brilliant. Yeah, so he's good in the air. Ever since he's come in, he's been incredible. Him and Critchlow at the back is a good centre-back partnership. He scored against Rochdale, I think it was away as well, from a free kick. A really good header actually as well. So yeah, my centre-back is going to be Samuel Stubbs.
Good to see Arran continuing his theme then of very, very recent players. 3 picks to go for Frank. Frank, who is going to be your 9th choice?
Lots of options in the goalkeeper position, and I honestly cannot remember if Jordan Pickford has been picked or not. So I'm going to go with John McLaughlin. He got nearly 50 clean sheets in 150 games for Bradford City. A fantastic goalkeeper. He is a liar though, as when I was visiting Sunderland away, the ball crossed the line and he managed to con the linesman into thinking the ball hadn't crossed the line, which cost us a very huge point at the stadium alive. But a fantastic keeper, gone on to play for Rangers. And there's a lot of options, but with Harry Lewis being taken, I feel like this is the appropriate answer. So he is my shot stopper.
Back onto Korban then. He's still got goalkeeper, left back and right mid to fill. 2 picks for him though. Korban, who are going to be your next 2 picks?
Gary Thompson as my right winger. had a very good spell in the team, got a big goal against Arsenal, a very solid player for us. Greg Lee as my left back, he was a bit of an understudy to James Meredith. Since moving on from City, had a very solid career. And there's a real lack of options, so I'm going with Greg Lee.
2 picks to go then for everybody else. Frank is up next. Still needs a centre back and a centre mid to complete his team. Frank, who is going to be your penultimate pick?
Well, there's lots of options, and I didn't want to go with a centre back who, you know, took us down in the relegation. I think Paulie O'Connor is where we draw a line in terms of defenders and sent us down. So I'm going to go with a bit of a one which might re-jog your memory of that 2012-13 season. It's Carl McHugh. Only played 30 times for the Bantams. He scored twice, one of the goals being that famous goal against Aston Villa in the Capital One Cup at Villa Park. It was a fantastic, fantastic goal, and a moment that will live long in the memory of City fans. He now plies his trade in the Indian Super League, but a decent defender. He wasn't a starter for Bradford City in the 2 years he was there, but I'm going to be honest, there's not a lot of options I can put at centre-back, so I have selected Carl McHugh.
I must admit, Frank's defence is looking pretty vulnerable, to be fair, but it is now complete. Moving on to Arran then. Arran, who is going to be your penultimate pick?
My pick is going to be a cam, and it's going to be Jack Payne. He signed from Huddersfield in the 2018-19 season. The first half of the season, he was quality, and in the second half, it wasn't the best. But yeah, that is my cam pick, Jack Payne.
Again, a pretty interesting pick there to pick someone from a team who ultimately was part of our relegation. My 2 final picks then, I need a right back and a striker. Starting out with my right back, I'm going to go with Paul Caddis. Pretty solid option, to be fair, from the ones that are remaining. I would have liked Derby, McMahon, or even Halliday ahead of him, but I thought he did all right, and I've contradicted myself a little bit by picking a player as ultimately being a part of our relegation into League Two. But I thought overall he was as solid as what they can get. You know, is much better than Kelvin Mellor and Adam Henley and some of the other options we've had over the years. We've had some really, really poor standard right backs. Oscar Threlkeld, another one. But for me personally, I don't think Paul Caddis would be a bad option. Yes, I've got 2 very old fullbacks in there in Caddis and Warnock, but I think my 2 centre-back partners of Davies and Burke, I don't see either of them really letting much get past them. And my striker, it was between Vaughan and Hawula. Because my partner is going to be Charlie Wyke, I didn't want to go too similar with Wyke and Vaughan, so I've gone with Jordi Hawula. I think them 2 could play off of each other very well, and that will complete my team then. I think overall I'm very happy with that, to be honest. So with my team now complete, Arran will be completing his team with a central midfielder. Arran, who is going to be your final pick?
My central midfielder is going to be Callum Guy. This is the only option I could really go for. He's having a good season with Carlisle this season, but that's nothing to do with Bradford City. So yeah, my final pick is going to be Callum Guy.
I must admit that was a very good explanation there from Arran in picking Callum Guy. Next up is Frank to complete his team. He also needs a central midfield option. Frank, who is going to be the central midfielder to complete your team?
Yeah, one final selection. I'm going back again into the archive, and I picked out a midfielder who was a little bit similar to Gary Jones in the way he went about his play, and it was Nathan Doyle for me. 114 games for Bradford City in 2 separate loan. Well, he signed on loan from Derby in the 2007-8 season. He then went out to Hull. It didn't quite materialise for him, and he signed back for Bradford City in the 2012-2014 season. He played 76 times for the Bantams, scoring on 2 occasions. It was just a rock in the midfield, an absolutely fantastic player. You know, went into challenges. He was just an unbelievable midfielder. Exactly what you want nowadays from midfielder. You don't typically see it too much nowadays, but Nathan Doyle, for me, was a bit overlooked as a Bradford City player, and that's why he is my final option.
And there we go then. Frank's team is also now complete. On to Korban for his final pick. He needs a goalkeeper. Korban, who is going to be the shot stopper that completes your team?
Ben Williams for me. He was a solid keeper, made some good saves. Again, I think he was 15-16 season. I think he only had 1 season as a proper number 1. His first season, I think he was number 2 to Pickford and played in the cup games. But I think he was a solid keeper and again made some big saves in that season.
And what is a good team without a good manager? Now we're going to go through and individually pick our managers of Bradford City. Managers obviously managed in the last 10 years or so. Now, there's not been many, and for the ones that have, none of them have really been great, but obviously I'm going to go with the standout. As I've got first choice, I'm going to go with Phil Parkinson. The job that man did with the football club was absolutely brilliant. You know, League Cup finals, beating Chelsea in the FA Cup, beating Arsenal, Aston Villa over 2 legs. Absolutely brilliant. Promoted from League Two, something that I've only ever seen once in my lifetime. An absolutely fantastic manager. And while I think this team probably would suit his style of play, to be fair, maybe we don't have as many long ball merchants potentially. You know, we do still have some quality in there. I think Phil Parkinson would be the perfect man to lead this team. team forward. Arran's team was completed, pretty modern to be fair. Arran, who is going to be the man to lead your boys forward? Who is going to be your manager?
My manager is going to be a modern manager. It's going to be Mark Hughes. He currently manages Bradford City at the moment. I think he's done a decent job this season with the team. I think we all had higher expectations. We all wanted automatic promotion, but that never happened. But for this team in general, I've only got like 3 players from the past years in this team, so I think we need a modern manager, so I'm going to go for Mark Hughes.
A pretty sensible pick there from Arran, going with a modern manager to match his modern team. Frank's got a bit of a mixture, but a lot of his players, I don't think he has any current players who play for the football club. So Frank, who is going to be the man to lead your side forward?
Yeah, well, Arran thinks he's the manager, but the one that I'm going to go for is quite controversial in terms of how it actually ended up. I'm going to go with Mark Truman and Connor Sellers. Now, it's a bit of a difficult one because how can you top Phil Parkinson? But I decided to go with Mark Truman and Connor Sellers. I think the job that they did with the squad that they had was fantastic. They came through from our under-18s. They were the manager of the under-18s, and they got given the caretaker. They did really, really well when the caretaker, and then they actually got the permanent offer to be the joint managers of the football club. It was heavily publicised by the media. I think they're one of the youngest managers ever to happen in the EFL. There weren't permanent managers for very long, but the managers to steer us away from relegation to the National League, and that is why I've selected them as the managers.
A bit of a rogue shout there from Frank, but certainly not a bad one at all. Completing his team at Korban, who are you going to go with for your manager to lead your side forward?
Stuart McCall. Obviously went to the playoff final with him 3 stints. First and third one were terrible, but I can't sympathise for the third one, that'd be the wrong word, but obviously there were no fans there. He tinkered a bit too much and it was one of our worst teams, and you could say he recruited those players. But for the second stint, I think he's got to be our second best manager for me in the 10 years because of what he did with that squad since turning it around from Parkinson, because it was a tough job to take charge of a team that was so sustainable under Phil Parkinson and new owners, but we found out was Ed and Rahik.
So my team in full then in a 4-4-2 formation is Jordan Pickford in goal, a back four of Paul Caddis, Andrew Davies, Reece Burke and Stephen Warnock. In the midfield we've got Matt Marshall on the right wing, Josh Cullen and Tim Dieng in the centre of midfield with Adam Reach on the left wing. Up front we've got Charlie Wyke and Jordi Hirula, and my team will be managed by Phil Parkinson.
So my team is a 4-3-3 formation, and in goal is going to be Harry Lewis. My left back is going to be Andy Halliday. My 2 centre halves are going to be Critchlow and Stubbs. My right back is going to be Brad Halliday. My right centre mid is going to be Billy Knott, and my left centre mid is going to be Callum Guy. My cam is going to be Jack Payne. Left wing Charles Vernon, right wing Scott Banks, and up top is going to be Andy Cook. And my manager will be Mark Hughes.
So my team is Ingleby. We've got John McLaughlin. Right back we have Tony McMahon. The 2 centre halves are Powdy O'Connor and Carl McHugh. The left back is James Meredith. On the right hand side we've got Felipe Moraes and a double pivot in midfield of Nathan Doyle and Lewis O'Brien. The left midfielder is Mark Yates, and my 2 strikers are Naki Wells and Billy Clark, and they are managed by Mark Truman and Connor Sellers.
So my team is Williams in goal, Stephen Darby in right back, McArdle and Vince Alott in centre back, Greg Lee as left back, midfield 4 Thompson, Jones, Evans and Carl Reid, and Hansen and Stead up front, managed by Stuart McCall.
And there we have it then. Now that all the teams are built, you'll have to let us know down in the comment section down below which team do you think is the best. Personally, I'm very happy with the way that my team came out. Yes, I had a little bit of an advantage with me being the first pick, but in the end I think my team probably is the strongest. Let me know down below though, if all these teams were to play in a tournament, which team do you think would come out on top just from their careers alone at Bradford City. It's not what they've done in the future, it was just their spell at Bradford City. If you have enjoyed watching today's video though, please make sure to drop a like on there for me. As I said at the start of today's video, I'm not going to set a like target, but the more likes that this video does get means the more likely that we have to do more of these style videos. If there's any other creators that want to come on the channel, drop me a message and we can get that arranged. But subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We are now really close on 7,000 subscribers, so please make sure you are subscribed if you haven't already with that post notification bell on. It's free to do so and it does massively help out. Check out everyone who featured in today's video. Their links will be in the description down below. Thank you very much for watching. Hopefully you have all enjoyed, and I'll see you all very soon for another one. Peace.